I believe that the single unit idea that we were hearing from Natalie, that could work.
Peter, the problem with what Ofgem are saying is that their proposals are still too complex for consumers to spot the cheapest deal across the market. In fact, this APR-style metric they're proposing, a thing called a tariff comparison rate, when we tested it out on consumers, only 3 in 10 could tell us what the cheapest deal for them would be. So the proposals here, there are some good things, as Ian's just said. Fewer tariffs, good. New rules requiring suppliers to treat customers fairly, yes, great, should have had that years ago. But at the heart of these proposals is this fundamentally flawed idea of how energy prices should be presented. It will lead consumers up the garden path, potentially, we think, leaving millions of people paying over the odds more than they need to, and really importantly, not exerting that competitive pressure by getting people to spot the better deal across the market and switching between suppliers, keeping prices in check by shopping around.
But if they're too complex, isn't your idea too simplistic? After all, simple doesn't necessarily mean fair. You introduce complexity sometimes to make it fair.
Well, this is what the suppliers would say. They've thrived on complexity and would love to see the continued confusion that they've been doing so well out of for many years. What the consumers are telling us at Which is that if prices are presented simply, like petrol or diesel on a garage forecourt, as Natalie was saying, they can much more easily spot the best deal for them. Now, for low-income households, we found overall they would find a reduction in their energy bills, and in particular across the whole market, because you'd find more people able to switch. Prices would be more competitive, so we would all stand to win. If we use Ofgem's comparison rate, then lots of us would stand to lose. That is more unfair and is building on the unfairness in the present system.
So,
it can't be right.
Ian, why haven't you gone for that single unit idea, which sounds deliciously simple?
Well, it sounds like it, doesn't it? But these things are never as simple as they sound. Let me first say that we very much welcome the engagement we've had from Which and the rules report they gave earlier this year to most of our proposals. And indeed, we've consulted with a whole range and really listened to a whole range of different bodies, including Consumer Futures, who've already welcomed our announcement today, Citizens Advice, Age UK. Actually, what we need to do is look at all of the evidence in the round and really make sure that what we're doing is evidence-based and really will deliver the market that the market that consumers.
You've got to look at the evidence that the proposal you're publishing today is going to leave, we think, more than 7 in 10 consumers as confused, having to go to comparison websites, which most people tell us, and you, they don't want to do, unable to spot the simple fact of the best deal on the market. That can't be right when you're trying to inject more competition to encourage more consumers to shop around.
So one of the models we did look at was this unit price model, and actually Which's own proposals don't actually deliver petrol forecourt style prices, given that actually they would still allow cash discounts like paperless billing, direct debit. So what you've effectively got is someone who pulls into the petrol forecourt, looks at the cheapest rate, goes for that one. Actually what they find out is that the petrol station across the road would have given them £10 off if they'd paid by cash. It would have given them £1.50 off if they'd bought a sandwich as a package, and actually they'd have been better off going to the petrol forecourt on the other side of the road. So actually it doesn't actually take away the complexity that I think is being suggested by a really simple unit price model.
There is no reason,
Can I get Richard's response to this?
No reason whatsoever that a single unit price couldn't include discounts and make this work much more easily for consumers. And I think if Ofgem continue to plough on, ignoring what consumers are saying about their proposals, we're going to have to see ministers, and as last year the Prime Minister, stepping in and going, look, the very organisation, the regulator that's supposed to be protecting the interest of customers is letting us down. The government will have to step in and make them really simplify the market so that it works.
Final word, and Ian, then we must stop.
Sorry, but Richard is also accepting that he would allow fuel discounts, which effectively means that people buy things as a bundle, and therefore, in effect, if you've got a higher gas unit charge in one side and a lower electricity unit charge, people can't simply trade those things off in a simple way.
I think
and therefore what we're doing is we're making sure that they have that petrol forecourt style number, but that's a trigger for people to go away and get a personalised quote so they can really find the best deal for them in the market.
I think you've demonstrated, both of you, the complexity of the issues which will go on, but thank you both very much indeed. We'd like to know, would a clearer energy bill make you use energy differently? Do you have trouble making sense of your bill or find it easy if you make the effort? You can contact the programme by email at yours@bbc.co.uk. Now a change of gear. Dozens of theatres across the UK are planning to bring in what are called relaxed performances for people with autism, learning disabilities, sensory or communication problems. It follows a nationwide trial at 9 theatres, including the National Theatre's production of The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime, based on Mark Haddon's novel, based on autism. Our reporter Carolyn Atkinson has been talking to people involved in the show, and she met with mum of 4, Claire Port-Tennant, who has 2 children and are on the autism spectrum. Claire says it was the first time the whole family had been to the theatre together.
It was absolutely fantastic, a real opportunity. And what was so nice was that because everything was catering for my sons with special needs, it meant that they were relaxed and we were very relaxed. So we could all really enjoy the production, which was super.
I like maths, and also I like outer space, and I like being on my own. 343, 512, 729, 1,312.
It was the first time he's managed to sit through the whole play, and he loved it. He was very fascinated by Christopher. I think starting off with being a play where the autistic character is central, and where it's from the autistic character's point of view is very fascinating. And he was very interested in things like the fact that Christopher was so brilliant at maths, which he's not very good at, but that Christopher was useless on trains and undergrounds, which my son feels he's very good at.
Is this train going to London?
There was absolutely no condemnation. The actors all knew that there could be noise. The staff were charming. The other thing which was a big help was that there was a storyboard that the theatre sent out beforehand, which showed what the place looked like and also talked quite a lot about the actors and the characters and the sort of beginnings of the story. I think he got a lot out of it, and now he actually feels very positively towards going to theatre, which he wouldn't have done before because he was always too anxious. I mean, sometimes one feels one doesn't really want to spoil theatre for other people or even acrobatics, but one's sons can't always be quiet and sit still and might need to leave in a hurry if they get frightened or anxious. So knowing that they could do all of those things was really relaxing, and I think also having an audience that are in the same boat, you know, that makes it very relaxing. Everyone was incredibly friendly.
Now we're here at the National Theatre, and Katie Rudd, you're the Associate Director of The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. This is the current National Theatre show that is going to have a relaxed performance this weekend. How important was it to involve this particular play in the Relaxed project, because obviously the subject matter is really quite relevant?
The Curious Incident is a play that celebrates how we see the world differently. It was really important that we embrace that idea and that we enable everybody to see this play, and that we don't give people a watered down version of the piece. So we try and retain it as much as we can, but many people with autism or disabilities are hypersensitive to lighting, sound and visual moving images, and our play relies heavily on projection, like flashing lights and sound. So we reduce the very scary sound levels. We never go to full blackout, so the exit signs, for example, will always be on so that people feel safe, whereas in a normal performance we turn those off for very dark moments.
I'm Kirsty Hoyle, and I'm the project manager for the Relaxed Performance Project, which is a collaboration between the Society of London Theatre and the Princess Foundation for Children in the Arts. We started the project in January 2013, working with the Royal Shakespeare Company. We decided to work with 9 theatres, and they're a mix of large organisations, commercial, local, subsidised, in order to bring together a best practice model so that we can say to the theatre industry in the UK and internationally, here's how best to do it.
I'm Nick Siddy, and I'm one of the actors in Curious Incident. It was an amazing experience, and I've done the show nearly 200 times now, and unquestionably that was the most memorable performance that we ever did. I'll give you an example. There's a moment in the play where Christopher's father lashes out in frustration at Christopher and hits him, and then becomes very, very apologetic afterwards and kneels down in front of Christopher and says, "Do you understand that I love you, and do you understand that I don't want you to get into trouble?" and there was a young boy sat just behind the actor playing Christopher, and every time the